Welcome to the heart and soul of outdoors radio. It's the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show. In our 11th season, we continue to share facts and give advice on the great outdoors, where we never let the lack of facts come between us and a good story. Guys who are dedicated to helping you become a better outdoorsman. Your host, Gary McCoy, who's no stranger to the radio world or the outdoors, with a CMA to his credit for best personality. A well-accomplished outdoorsman who loves the thrill of taking a big buck or putting a bass in the live well. Mike Eccles, born and raised in Louisiana, who's fished and hunted his entire life and continues to chase ducks in the backwaters and pull bass off cypress trees. And the Boss Tournament Trail Director who runs the best team circuit in Louisiana. Steve Graff, raised in the woods and waterways of East Texas, a former Northwestern State two-sport athlete and tournament angler who continues to strive for big bass and winning stringers. And last but not least, Jay Watley, the brains and producer of the show who pushes all the right buttons, a man with unmatched talent who excels in making these guys look good and this show sound great. Now let's jump off the front deck and make the first cast with the boys who know it all, Gary, Steve, Mike, and Jay.
Don't touch that dial. Leave it right where it's at. You're listening to Hooking Up and Tracking Down show. I'm Ranger Boat Pro Staffer, Daiwa Pro Staffer, Steve Graff, along with my right-hand man today.
Your only hand.
The only. Well, we got Jay.
Yeah, well, I know, but he's
I'm more of a foot kind of guy.
He's a foot away. He's got a foot fetish.
Well,
Wow.
Okay, Jay's a
Man.
golfer too. Now I bet he's used a foot wedge a couple of times.
A couple
before.
times, yeah.
Yeah, I figured you had.
I utilize every club in the bag.
Hey, that's what
Every
you got
club.
to do. You got to do that.
A foot wedge is what you use to get cowboy boots off with, isn't it?
Is that what that's a heel wedge, I think.
Oh, okay.
Heel
Yeah.
wedge.
It's like not as good on a golf course.
Yeah, now, Jay, let me you're a golfer. I'm a golfer.
I'm not that great.
Well, I'm not either. I'm mid-80s. Every once in a while, low 80
I'm
guy.
right there with you.
If
Okay.
it gets that hot, I'm not playing.
Yeah. I wish it was only that high.
No doubt.
Favorite golf ball? Are you a balata guy or you hit just a straight?
No, I use it. I don't really care that much.
Yeah.
I like Callaways.
Do you?
They won't break the bank.
Right.
I always laugh at guys that shoot kind of like I do, and they spend $50 on the Pro V1 sleeve.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you doing hitting that thing?
Exactly.
You know?
I tried a balata ball. I can't control it. I'm not good enough with my clubs to control the ball,
Yeah.
so I just forget it. I just hit a standard
I
ball.
don't care. Hey, you go to Walmart, you can get a set of like 30 random golf balls for like $15.
Exactly.
I'll do that all day.
I call that country golfers.
That's us.
That's me.
Okay, so if you play in the PGA or the LPB or whatever that
They're
is.
hitting balatas.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Everybody has to play with the same ball?
Not same brand, probably same level of ball. Like they all hit balatas because they can control. It's a softer kind of ball. They can control. They can spin it. They can pull it back. They can do so much. They can make it fade, draw, whatever they want to do with it. So much better with the balata because you can put more spin on the ball and control it better. So that's the difference between balata.
I just threw that in there. I don't really care.
Well, I'm educating you today, Mike.
Let's move on to hunting and fishing.
Anyway, Mike Eccles is sitting here with his Boss Tournament Trail Director. Gary McCoy is out. He is actually probably wetting the hook as we speak. He's up at Lake Catherine up in Arkansas having a good time up there.
And he's missing everybody. Call him, send him text.
Yeah.
Facebook him, everything.
Yeah.
He's getting lonesome up there.
Exactly. So you might drop him a line if you want to. Don't tell him we said anything. But anyway, we got a great show today. This week's, as a matter of fact, first thing we're going to talk about is our sponsor spotlight. It's Candyman Pet Lodge. Wayne Neeson and the guys over at Candyman Pet Lodge want to thank them for their support of our program. And starting next week, we'll have Wayne back on again. And we're going to talk about how to keep your dog cool during these hot summer days right now and some other training tips that might help you with your dog, whether you got a dog that barks, dog that wants to use the bathroom in the house. We're going to talk about all kind of things that maybe help your dog become a better dog. Now, Mike, I wouldn't say you're a dog trainer, but you got a lab and you hunt, and you're probably pretty good with labs and dogs right now.
Well, I can break them from something, but it's due to better electronics.
Yeah. And it's called leather strap, isn't it?
No. Electronics.
Oh, you use electricity.
It's that e-collar. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I want to go that
if
route.
you think a dog's fixing to pee in the house, you don't want to mash that button because then he's going to go ahead and do it.
Exactly. And by the way, this segment is brought to you by Lake Fork guy Johnny Geist, Despino, Jim South Tire, and Paul's Farm and Garden. For all your pet and livestock needs, go to Paul's Farm and Garden on North Market in Shreveport. All right, this week's the first thing we got here is our product of the week. Mike, I found this in Galveston. I've never been a guy that's been able to pull these off.
Me neither, and I've got one.
But this one here, my daughter said, "Dad, you look good in it. I like it. Go ahead and you need to buy
Apparently,
that."
it covered your face up.
Well, kind of, sort of. The main thing for me, Mike, was my ears. As you,
I can tell you right now, there is no hat going to look good on your head with a set of earphones.
You're right. But anyway, that being said, the thing I liked about this hat was, number one, it's so light.
Yeah.
It is also, it's treated. This is a Stetson no-fly zone hat. It is treated. It's got built-in mosquito, tick, chigger, flies, and midges. Again, is that like a tick or something? A midge, a gnat?
Midge is a little bit short guy.
Yeah, well, I know that, but this is midges.
And you're going to wear a hat to keep them away?
MIDGES.
Oh.
So midges, whatever that is. But it's got built-in sunscreen protection, 50 SPF. It's just a great product. It's made by Stetson. And when I saw the name Stetson, if you've ever, I'm an old cowboy myself, old ranch hand myself, we used to wear Stetson hat. Well, that was a high-dollar hat.
Just because you loaded hay on a truck doesn't make you a cowboy.
Well, trust me, I've spent a lot of time on hay on the truck and working cows and building fence and barns and everything else. But when I saw the name Stetson, I thought, oh, gosh, it's going to be expensive as heck. $29 for the Stetson hat, which is rare.
Yeah.
I almost thought it was mistagged. I really did. I thought it was mistagged. But if you're looking for a really good hat, again, I got this at a store. You can probably go online, go to StetsonI'mSure.com. You can probably order one of these. It's called the No-Fly Zone Insect Repellent Technology Resistant Hat. It's got built-in sunscreen protection. And I'm going to start fishing in this, and I'm going to tell you why, Mike. I've got a spot.
And it looks like it's made out of minnow net.
It does. You're exactly. It'll breathe good. It's got great protection, but I like because it's lightweight. I've tried some of these on before, but they were heavy and thick.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like them. I've got a spot on the top of my ear that I've got to go get checked. It will not get well.
Yeah.
It's been there for about a year now. I've got to go get it burned off.
What in the world are you waiting on?
Well, you're right, and I've got to go get it checked. I keep putting some stuff on there, and it gets better for a while.
KY on there, that'll stop it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, whatever. I'll take your word for it. But anyway, that's our product of the week. And so now, also on today's show, our final interview with Johnny Geist, final Lake Fork report
For the year.
For the year. We may have him on again in the fall if something's going on. But he likes to talk duck hunting, too.
That's right.
We can talk duck hunting.
We'll do a duck hunting report.
Yep. Segment 3 of hour 1, we got outdoor news and what's going on, especially what's going on in our area. And then at 11:45, we've got the final interview of the year with P.D. Vincent of Bass Cash Bash. Again, Bass Cash Bash has been a sponsor of the show. We started with them in January or February, and we've run them all the way through June and July. And just been a great relationship. He has been tickled to death with what we've been able to promote for him. We've had him on the show several times. He'll give us a final update. And again, a lot of these tournaments were run. Let's see here.
PD has just done an outstanding job of developing this new tournament format. And I've said it before. A lot of times, this tag fish stuff is strictly an advertising gimmick.
Yes.
The odds of actually catching them are not very good. But between Bass Cash Bash,
Right.
the saltwater, and
Right.
the CCA,
Yeah.
the amount of fish, the percentage of fish that are tagged and put out there and that are caught is, I'm telling you, is astounding.
Yes.
Now,
exactly right.
Whether they're caught by somebody that's in the program or not,
Yeah.
that's a different story.
Exactly.
But I'm telling you that these two programs, both of these, are something. If you're going to go saltwater fishing or you're going to go to Sam Rayburn, Toledo Bend, or Lake Fork during those time frames,
Yeah.
I mean, you just a goober if you
Yeah.
don't get in.
That's exactly right. And Toledo Bend is still open till Labor Day weekend. It's the last one. It's still open. Of the 3, the other 2 are over. Lake Fork is over. Sam Rayburn's over. And he's going to kind of mix it up again next year. We'll get a little preview today of maybe some of the changes going to take place for 2019 in the Bass Cash Bash. Also, top of hour 2, a good friend of mine a guy that I've competed against. He's actually fishing in the FLW Cup this weekend. FLW Pro Andrew Upshaw will be with us to talk about this week's FLW Cup up in Hot Springs.
So you competed against him, but he's in the FLW Cup.
He's in the FLW Cup.
So I know how that turned out.
Well, Andrew was actually Collegiate Angler of the Year at one point. He won the national championship at Stephen F. Austin, and it was just the rival of my
own. So he's a young guy.
Andrew's probably, I would say, 28 to 30 right now. Yeah, he's a young guy.
Young.
He's one of the young guys, and he's been on the tour since 2012. And so done a really good job. He's one of the up-and-coming young guys. Represents the sport extremely well. Andrew will do a great job for us today. And we've had him on before, and he's always a good interview. Also, I'm looking forward to this. Mike's doing a special segment today, especially a salute to one of our local legends in this area named Willard Moore. Just one of the finest people that I've ever been associated with and around. Willard was just an outstanding individual as well as an outstanding angler. And just a former coach. It just touched a lot of lives, Mike, and I'm looking forward to what you got to say about him today.
We lost Willard just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's, there's a lot of the young anglers have never heard of Willard Moore.
Right. Oh, you're right.
Because his heyday was during the 60s.
Right.
But Willard didn't go away just because he quit fishing BASS.
Yeah.
He stayed around, and he touched a lot of lives.
Yeah, and he was a very highly respected local angler that was a great stick. Willard knew what he was doing and was a great angler. Right after Willard salute, we've got Outdoor Destinations. Mike has lined up Tom Polo. Is that how you say it?
Let me look and see. His name is not said the way it's
Palo. Palo?
No. Leoe.
What?
Leoe.
Pollo is Leo.
No, it's not a P.
Oh, well, that's what I had before.
Okay.
That's what you said.
No,
Okay.
I didn't. Tom Leo is from Blanchard, I think, from Blanchard.
Okay.
And that's going to be under the Outdoor Destinations. We've kind of missed that for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
but doing a deal about people that live around here but go someplace else and do something special, fish someplace else, hunt someplace else. And Tom is a trout fisherman, goes up into Arkansas and does a wide variety of things. He fishes some places, he goes and takes his kids, fishes from the bank. Some places they wade the rivers and the streams, and some places it's boat fishing. A wide variety, got a lot of knowledge about trout fishing, and I'm not talking about speckled trout. We talk about that a lot. But this is the rainbows, little browns and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Now, Mike, have you ever done any of that yourself? Have you ever?
Yeah, I have. I caught a couple and tried to eat them, and when I tried to eat them, I quit trying to catch them.
Okay. So much for that. Mike it didn't light Mike's fire. I got a neighbor. He is into this big time. Matter of fact, we're going to try to get Mr. Burley on. He goes up to Arkansas as well, and he's got some good insight as to certain places he goes that aren't very crowded. You got to pay attention to when they're generating water and when the water's going to be coming out of the lake. And so there's certain areas up there that, of course, it's all about trout fishing. But he is a fly fisherman. I've never taken the time to put a fly rod in my hand and try to master that. But there's a lot to that. It's a great skill to have.
But you don't have to fish for them with a fly rod.
Well, you're right.
A lot of trout fishing is done with spinning rods.
Yeah, you're exactly right. When we go to Beavers Bend State Park up there, there's a lot of guys in the stream there, and they got these 6-foot spinning rods, and they're throwing little bitty small spinner baits or MEPS, that old MEPS type little
marshmallows or worms.
Yep,
or,
corn.
Yeah.
Corn. I used to catch them when I played minor league ball up in Canada and Montana and Idaho during the mornings when we didn't have anything to do. Well, if we knew there was a lake nearby or a stream, we'd go buy a can of corn, a couple of old cheap spinning rods, get some cheap hooks, and put it on there. And we'd go down there and fish for them trout till we had time to go play ball.
I preferred fishing with whole corn because if you didn't catch anything,
you could always eat.
Still had lunch.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and then we got Dye with Samurai Braid. Best times to fish. Mike will give us those times today. And when we return, we will come back with a Lake Fork Report with Johnny Geis here on 1130 The Tiger.
But I'd rather be a hog caller, chewing cud on.
Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show is proud to be associated with our fine sponsors, Daiwa Samurai Braid, J&J Exterminating, V&M Baits, and Toledo Town and Tackle, the best tackle box on the bin. Now back to the guys who have a ton of tackle, Gary, Steve, and Mike, minus Gary.
Minus Gary.
Minus Gary.
You're right, Jay. We do have a lot of great sponsors, and another one is CCA, Coastal Conservation Association. They are protecting our coastal frontage and waterways all across Louisiana and up the Pacific and the Atlantic coast. CCA is leading the way in coastal restoration with the Floating Island Project. Please go on like YouTube and look that up. Floating Island Project. That's incredible. They're sponsors of the tournaments like the CCA Star and Ride the Bull event. Fighting the fight for waterway access issues. Go to ccalouisiana.com to learn more and become a member today.
And if you want to learn more about bass fishing, especially on Lake Fork, we got the man, Johnny Geis. Johnny, it's hard to believe it's our final report from Lake Fork for 2018. Now, we'll have you back on, we'll have you back on in the fall for some duck hunting, but this is our last fishing report.
Well, it's about got too hot to go up here, man. We've been over 105 degrees 2 or 3 days in a row, down to 101 today, so it's going to be better.
A little cold front, huh?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I saw Johnny next week. I think we're getting a little relief. I saw Monday and Tuesday, I think the high is 90, and the Tuesday, I think, is 88. So we must have a little cool front coming through.
Yep, I got up early this morning, like before daylight, walked out, and I felt that little tinge of faint, like fall might be coming in about 45 days.
45 days, just around the corner.
75 degrees, it felt pretty good, you know, but it's hot.
Get over to Square Lake and see if some teal come in with this.
Yeah, well, hey, it's funny you should say that because last night, yesterday afternoon when I was walking in the house, we got back from Galveston, had a little family getaway down there, and we were walking into the house in the driveway. I thought I heard geese. And I looked up, and I'm like, ain't no way there's geese coming in right now. But I think it was a dog barking way down the road there somewhere. But anyway.
I don't want to hunt with you.
Yeah. Anyway, Johnny, what's going on at Lake Fork? Like I said, you know it's been hot. A lot of guys probably coming off the water by noon if they're staying out that long, right?
Well, we got the Camp for Kids going on. About 50-something young men from all over the United States in fishing with a bunch of different guides. I'm not on the group this time, and they're all out there right now. They'll be coming in at noon each day and learning all the techniques and everything. Pretty neat deal, and big event for the area right here. So it's a good way to get the kids involved in fishing, you know.
Now, what about night fishing? I would assume a lot of guys do. Some of the guys, I know you've said before you're not a big night fishing guy, but do some of the guys alter their schedule on these hot summer days? Do they say, okay, look, guys, we might be better off doing a night trip?
We've got one or two that just specialize in that. Randy Oldfield's probably one of them, one that does most of it, and they catch big old fish. But this full moon's coming up, and I think this next weekend, Victory Bass has got a nighttime tournament guaranteed. I believe it's a $5,000 first prize. So I don't know how many people show up to do it, but it's time to branch over and go tonight on this lake.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Johnny, this is really kind of a bad time to try to be getting to go out and go fish with the full moon coming in, because in my limited experience, anytime you have a full moon, you have a few bites first thing in the morning early, and then your better fishing is 11 to 2, something like that. Well, that doesn't fit in with the weather we've got right now.
Yeah, you know, every time I've tried night fishing, that's when I catch them, is right before dusk and right at dawn. And if that's what they call night fishing, I'm going to just sleep there until night and just get up early.
That's what I tell people. I don't mind night fishing as long as I can be through by about 7 p.m. Yeah.
But, you know, I tell you one thing that's made a little difference, changed night fishing, is all the green lights around our docks around here. So many people put these neon green lights on the bottom of the water and shines up, and they're just great to sit out on the dock and watch the fish and the shad, the crappie, and white bass, and giant cat. It's just like a fish aquarium, man. There's so many, and there's a lot of big old bass that are swimming around them, too.
So wait a second. They've got this light, and it doesn't. It's not above water. It's you put it in the water and it goes to the bottom and it shines up, right?
Yeah, they've got them a good bit. They're real popular around, and there's so many. I think there's 100-something docks on the lake that has those now. There's in our neighborhood, there's 4 docks. I think they've got 7 or 8 lights there, but you can just sit on the dock or pull up by boat, and it'll just scare you how many old big fish are swimming around it.
Well,
they catch them on crankbaits on that thing too. I mean, they'll actually bass a jig or anything. They're feeding on the shad that start rotating around those lights.
I wonder if that, Johnny, got started around the Gulf Coast region, because I know when we go to Galveston, a lot of those canals that we stay on, we got a beach house on a canal, and there's a lot of canal owners that have these beach houses, and they all have these green lights or blue lights under the water.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, they catch them at night. They'll have kayakers out there all in these canals at night just ripping the redfish and the trout.
Yeah, that's what you'll see here in Florida. That's where most of the night fishermen end up hitting some of the docks, and not all of them have a fish all the time. One of my neighbors said there's sometimes it's just loaded, and then next week there might not be any. I don't know why that is. It's just typical fishing, but you find the right dock with fish on it and spend a little bit of time trying to figure out what to make them bite on, and there's some big old fish that's caught by these lights.
Johnny, over there, I know you spent a little time over at Lake Welsh, right outside of between Dangersfield and Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
Have you been over there lately? I know the grass was in really good shape, you said, over there, but, are you
It was. They've had the pumps turned on for about a little over a month now, pumping water out of Lake of the Pines, which keeps the lake, it evaporates so quick during this heat. As well, it's already heated from the power plant, but it's trying to keep the water cool. But every morning, if you can get there where the pipes come out, you can get that hole lined up. You're going to catch a bunch of fish. But that water's done got so hot, it's right over 100. I think you remember we made a trip there last August.
Yeah.
And there was a shad die-off, and that's going to be happening now. So we're laying off Welsh for about a month till it gets into September, and then it'll be kind of a pre-spawn over there by that time. So it's just too hot right now.
Well, Johnny, your live brim or even your dead brim bite, is that, if you've got a trip right now, is that what you're going to try to concentrate on?
That's what I'm staying with. It's not as great as it usually is. I mean, we struggle to get 8 or 10 bites a day, and that's what you can count on, and that's pretty good. But it's so slow; it's hard to keep people's attention. But everything we're catching is 4 to 7 pounds. So hadn't caught any real big ones lately, but Lake Fork had a great week last week. There were 4 fish over 10 pounds caught. One of them weighed 12, 16.
Ooh.
So,
wow.
They're still biting, but it's hit and miss, but you can't catch them on the couch, guys. You got to be out there.
Yeah, you got to suffer through the heat and
Lake Tawakoni only 20 miles from here. I went over there yesterday. Their guides over there are just killing those big stripers and hybrids over there right now. And we had a hard east wind day. We didn't do that good ourselves, but that's another option for fishing in this area, is get some of those striped fish as well.
Mike, what has happened over at Lake Monticello? What's been the effect now that it's no longer a power plant lake? It's just a regular lake now. They're not generating any power there, which creates a lot of the hot water. It's now just a standard lake. Have you seen any? Is it too early to kind of say, it's going to help the lake or be better or worse? Is it too early?
Well, I'll tell you what I think, but it's probably Johnny's who got the right answer. You said Mike.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry. I'm asking Johnny.
Okay. I know you were.
I thought Mike had been over it.
No.
It's got an upper end and a lower end. The upper end's got a little bit of vegetation, hydrilla, and there'll always be fish around that. It's always been a shallow fishing lake on the upper end where you catch them less than 5 foot.
Right.
That'll remain that way. I think it'll be pretty good this fall. The last time I went, there was some schooling activity from the bridge down towards the dam, and we caught pretty good for 2 or 3 days, and then that kind of petered out. And right now you can catch them on the Carolina rigs and drop shots off the main lake points. But it's just like all lakes right now. It's a little bit of a doldrums here in late July and through August. But as soon as we get that first little breeze front for the fall, in early September usually comes through. It turned on great last year in September, so I think it's going to be just as good to answer your question as it was when I had a power plant. It's so many fish in that little lake, so it's a great place.
You brought up a good topic, because I've been at Toledo Bend 2 or 3 times in the last month, and I'm telling you, I have yet to see any schoolfish pop up on Toledo Bend at all. I just can't find them. They're just not out there. What are you seeing? A lot of schooling action still on Fork, or you just said about Monticello, but are you seeing anything on Fork?
Not at all. Just occasionally you might see one bust, but no schooling activity. There were some trying to bust up under a Highway 154 bridge when it got calm in the day. It's 38 foot out there on the bridge, and a lot of times they'll get around the pylons of the bridge, and the shad will get up there high, and there'll be a little schooling. But we're not. In fact, most of our shad, after 2 hard days of beating the deep water last week, I went in to catch bait up shallow, about 10-foot brush pile, and there were so many shad in that cove. And I think that's one thing. The reason they hadn't done as well. There's still a lot of fish that move up, chase the bait, and they're up there in the 10-foot or less. And that's just, they've got so much bait, though. I mean, all they have to do is open their mouth one time, and they're full. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a weird summer, guys. I don't know what it's like in Shreveport area on some of y'all's lake, but there's still a lot of good fish being caught, but it's not consistent.
Well, Johnny, we talked a while ago, this is going to be your last interview for this year, but it's not going to be like Johnny Geist is going to quit fishing.
No,
I know you are, but things are going to change. A lot of people just do not want to get out and fight the 100-degree, 105-degree temperature right now, and there's a lot of people sitting out there thinking, I want to go to Fork, but I'm going to wait till it cools off and things change. When do you foresee with your records the fall fishing starting on Lake Fork, and how will you be fishing?
Well, what I noticed last year, and this Friday I'm leaving to Breckenridge, Colorado for a week. I'm going to do a little trout fishing, and after I get back from that, I'm going to go check it out because these shad need that oxygen. They'll get up in some of the creeks and some of the shallow water that you definitely wouldn't think they'd be fishing at this time of the year. On my records, I was catching some good fish up in the upper end of Glade and Oldwell Bay and Running Creek last year at late August. So I'll still be doing deep midday, 10 o'clock on to noon or 2 o'clock, and that's about when you trip out in, about 2 o'clock. In the early mornings, I'm going to start running the real shallow water and get a few early morning bites and frogs and buzzbait, that kind of bite, and that's the way it's going to work out, man. I think it's going to be good.
Well, Johnny, I know if somebody wants to come get in the boat with you and maybe do a little fall fishing, but main thing is maybe start looking to book their trip for next year in 2019, how can they get a hold of you?
I appreciate that. And before we close out there, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you guys, Association for Hooking Up, Tracking Down, and the support that I get. I've had so many great customers from the Shreveport-Bossier area that come over here and enjoy it. Everybody gets to catch their personal best, and most of it's repeat business and referrals I get. So thank you guys for all the support you've given me in the Lake Fork area, and I hope everybody's come over here has enjoyed catching the big fish. And, give me a call, and let's set something up for the next trip. It'll be 972-800-3882, area code 972-800-3882. And watch my daily Facebook pages. Johnny Geist Fishing Guide. I'll be posting daily with pictures, and we're still going to be catching fish over here, and I wish you guys the best, and we still got time for a trip while we've been doing this holler.
Well, Johnny, we appreciate you and your effort, and you've always been very accommodating for us, and anytime we've needed you, just hey, what time? And you've always been there, and we appreciate it. And, folks, if you're looking for a great Christmas gift, a guided fishing trip with Johnny Geist at Lake Fork, it would not be any better a gift that you could give your spouse, your family, your kids, whatever. Just be a great trip, and highly recommend it. And but Johnny, we'll talk to you more this fall when duck season kicks off. I know Mike's already getting the itch over here to pull a trigger. So,
all right, guys, thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you, Johnny. All right, Johnny Geist. That wraps up Johnny Geist Lake Fork report for this year. And but again, we'll have Johnny back on in the fall. And when we return, we got a little outdoor news and kind of what's going on here in our area, right here on 1130. The Tiger.
Daniels yelling, turn it up.
go ahead and check out our website for news and info that's sure to make you a better outdoorsman. It's HUTDshow.com. This segment presented by Groove Fishing, Toledo Fiberglass, K2 Coolers, and Nichols Department Stores. Selling the finest brands in guns, ammunition, and hunting accessories. Nichols Department Stores with 5 locations to serve you. Once again, here's Steve and Mike.
Guys and gals, if you're looking to wrap up your fishing season, the 5th annual Fishing for Angels Bass Tournament, August 25th out of Red River South, presented by Holy Angels Organization. $5,000 first place guaranteed. Proceeds benefit the residents of Holy Angels. It's a scramble format this year, which it's been the same every year. Lakes include, got a new lake this year, Black Lake, Caddo, Granby, Bistineau, Red River, Toledo Bend, and the newly added Cross Lake. First cast at 6:30, must be in the weigh-in line by 3 o'clock. Mike Eccles will be running the weigh-in for this particular event. It'll be held at Red River South Marina. Registration, 2 days. You have Thursday, August 23rd, and Friday, August the 24th, from noon until 8 each day. One member of your team must be there to register and sign up for this event. And so good luck to anybody and everybody that wants to sign up for this Holy Angels event. We're trying to break 100 teams this year. Last year we had 80, what is it, 88? I think you said 88?
Yeah, 80, mid-80s.
Yeah, I think it's 86, 88 teams. So let's bust 100 this year, and let's see if we can get over 120. This is just a great event. Food, auction, it's just a great event for everybody and a lot of fun. So just a great
it's one of those deals where that Saturday, if you don't have anything going on, and hopefully it cools down a little bit, for $5 you get a wristband, all you can eat, fried fish, jambalaya, cracklings, hamburgers, hot dogs, $5. You know, I mean, I'm gonna take the whole family out to eat on
$5.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one
wristband.
Splurge. eat to your bust.
There you go. Real quick, we got some outdoor news. Got some sad news, Mike, and I'd like to know more on this story right here. Cadet Emmanuel Washington, 38 of Youngsville, passed away at Ochsner Medical Center in Baton Rouge on July 19th, a day after being rushed to the hospital. Washington was in his 3rd week of training to become an LDWF enforcement agent at the LDWF Training Academy located on North Flannery Road in Baton Rouge. After completing a 2.5-hour run on the morning of July 18th, the cadets were in a cool-down period of the physical training when Washington collapsed on the ground. Training agents immediately called for an ambulance and began pulmonary resuscitation.
Cardio. CPR, make it easy.
Yeah, CPR on Washington. Agents continued CPR until the ambulance arrived to take him to Ochsner Medical Center. Once at the hospital, Washington was placed on life support in intensive care unit until his passing on the morning of July 19th. He is survived by his wife, a 3-year-old son, and a 1-year-old daughter. Mike, what a tragedy.
That's awful. You know, and without knowing anything about anything, I'm going to say that it was a fluke deal.
Yeah. That
this gentleman was probably in shape.
Yep.
Just had something in his body went wrong.
Could have had a heart condition possibly.
However,
yeah.
Anybody, you would think that you would back off of PT training and anything.
Yeah.
Fire, police, military, when it's in excess of 105 degrees.
Right.
You know,
and again, we don't know the circumstances on July 19th. We don't know what the temperature was in Baton Rouge.
Never stopped us from talking about it, though.
Exactly. but you, as a fireman yourself, you've seen what the heat can do to people. I mean,
absolutely.
You've probably experienced it some yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like, once again, the biggest thing is this is tragedy for the department and even more so for his family.
Yep. I think, Mike, we got a drawdown scheduled for Black Lake, Clear Lake.
I have no idea.
Well, here at Natchitoches Parish, giant salvia control reduction of organic material.
Oh, you wanted me to read that?
But that's okay. I got it now.
I thought you was asking me a question.
I was kicking it to you, but that's okay. If you want to take it and run with it.
Okay, the gates are scheduled to open on August the 6th, 2018. The lake should de-water.
De-water. I've never heard that word before.
I have not either. I mean, who dreamed that up? Lakes should de-water. That's what I do about 2
Why
times.
didn't they just say drain?
Yeah, I do that about 2 times a night now. At the rate of 3 to 6 inches per day, the water level will be lowered to a maximum drawdown level of approximately 4 feet. Now, this is for Black Lake?
Yeah, Black Lake, Clear Lake.
Okay, so and that's only because that's as low as they can draw it down.
Yeah, exactly.
They're sort of like Bistineau, but
Right.
those are 7 feet.
Right.
Let's see, 4 to 6 feet, 4 feet below the normal pool stage to a target level of 95 mean sea level.
Which is irrelevant to us. We could care
Right.
less.
That means we don't know what it means.
Exactly.
The Black Lake, Clear Lake control gates are scheduled for closure on January the 29th to allow the lake to refill for early spring recreational activities. During the water drawdown, or the dewatering, an estimated 7,000 to 8,000 acres of water will remain in the open areas on Black Lake Clear Lake. Boaters may still access the lake from either the Black Lake Lodge or Chandler ramps located on the north and south side of Highway 9. Caution is also advised when on the water, as numerous obstructions, namely stumps,
Yes.
that are normally not seen will be present.
Yep. And a lot of people don't understand when they say Black Lake, Clear Lake, they're like, what is that? Well, when you cross the bridge, the northern end of the lake is considered Black Lake, and the southern end of the lake is considered Clear Lake, and the bridge divides the two, if you didn't know that.
I did not know the bridge did it.
Yep, the
Okay.
bridge was the divider. So, all right. A little Bistineau news. A floating boom will be deployed across both Bossier, and I want your opinion on this, Mike, Bossier Slough and the main channel of Lake Bistineau on July 23rd, including the wooded area in between. The boom is highly visible and will be marked with additional lights and signs. Passageways will be marked in the Bossier Slough and the main channel. The drawdown is scheduled to begin July 23rd and should dewater at a rate of 4 to 6 inches per day. The maximum drawdown level is 8 feet below normal pool.
Okay, you want my opinion on putting the boom across Bossier Slough in the main channel?
Yeah.
I have no idea what that's for.
Is it to trap Salvinia?
I mean,
It's
I
gotta
thought that's
be.
the reason we were draining it.
Well,
And I'm not. I honestly know so little about the boom
yeah.
while they're putting it there that I can't even make something up.
It's
Unless it's a diversion that maybe the Salvinia coming down the main lake goes into behind Hog Island or something.
Yeah.
And
so they may be trying to guide it.
yeah,
Direct.
yeah. Maybe they're trying to keep it toward what little bit of current's left in the lake.
The
when they pull
main
it
channel,
down.
I would think.
You know,
Yeah, you may be right.
That's awful. That's awful technical
Yeah,
for them to have figured that out.
right. You're exactly right.
I don't know. I wish somebody explained it to me.
You got a little outdoor outlaw?
Yeah, I do. Let's see. We don't have anything other than that.
We got one more thing, but go ahead and do the
Okay,
outlaw.
Outdoor outlaw. A 64-year-old Shreveport resident, retired District Fire Chief Barry E. Lewis, was cited last week in a park in Wyoming for feeding a prairie dog trail mix.
God. Just don't get no better than that.
Barry Lewis was on vacation with his wife, stopped in the park, and decided that since he didn't want to eat the trail mix, he was going to feed it to the prairie dogs. He was
God.
approached by a park ranger who gave him a citation. It's going to cost $140. Lewis said he did not know it was against the law, and the park ranger said you would have if you had read that sign that you were standing in front of. So, everybody
God.
needs to know that Barry Lewis got a ticket for feeding prairie dogs up in Wyoming.
Oh, God. It is, pray for him. Pray for us, all I can say. Okay, real quick. You sent me a message yesterday that Senator Cassidy has pulled the bill that would designate Caddo as a heritage area, right?
And I got this from this came out of Cassidy's office. He has an assistant named Stephanie, I believe, that sent word out to some of the mayor in one of the northern cities that Senator Cassidy and there's wordage here.
Yeah.
Pulled the bill from the legislative process. That does not mean the bill was killed. It does not mean that it was dismissed permanently.
So you think they're going to rewrite it?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. This all came about yesterday. But her words, and I really do appreciate this, was that Senator Cassidy is a man of his word. He said that if the people did not want this, that he would drop it.
Yeah.
And apparently, with the efforts of Danny McCormick and people like Penny McCurdy and all of the people up in northwest Louisiana that had major concerns about this, and some newfound information that came from a man who has been studying these heritage areas for over 10 years.
Right.
There was enough concerns that people just did not want to feel comfortable supporting this.
Yeah.
So the Caddo Lake Heritage Area, the bill presented by Senator Cassidy, who is a federal senator. Now that just it's still in politics. It was pulled from the Senate. It's still in the House, and that would put it in the ballpark of Representative Mike Johnson.
Right. Right.
So we're going to see what happens.
So
there.
it may not be totally dead yet.
It was not killed, and it was not just totally
Right.
dropped. Just pulled on Senator Cassidy's.
I would like to know too. Are there a group of people up there? We know there's a group of anti that don't want this, but is there a group that is all for it?
Well, I think it's the activists and the tree huggers and the people that were mentioned here in the last couple of weeks. Don Henley's group that are for this, and I'm sure they still have aspirations of getting it passed.
Right.
But the group, what's the group? Caddo Lake's Last Stand, Danny McCormick, them, they're still having a meeting tomorrow, Thursday evening, 5 or 5:30, up in Halston. It's a big public meeting, and this gentleman, I can't remember his name, that presented this study about what really can happen in the heritage areas, not what they tell you, but what can happen is going to be there. So this is, if I was not already obligated, I was going to that meeting tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Because it's the fear that we had was not what it says on page 1 of the bill, but what it says on page
121.
121. Yeah. That means, oh yes, we can do that.
Right.
And just somebody come along that wants to do it. That was the fear. And this study that this gentleman has made on heritage areas all over the country, and we only heard about the heritage areas where they didn't have any problems.
Right. Right.
And according to him, there are some where things backfired and it didn't turn out the way the general public thought it was. So.
Yeah. And again, I'm sure they've done their homework on it. I gave
Natchitoches is one of them that has not had the problem.
Yes. And matter of fact, I got an email yesterday. Somebody sent me a text or an email that basically talked about oil production basically being stopped around that heritage area in Natchitoches. There's a reason for that. It's nothing to do with
production didn't stop around the area.
Right.
The heritage areas did not encroach on the Haynesville Shale area. The heritage areas kind of drew their line where they knew they wouldn't have to battle the oil company.
Okay, but too, after meeting with Chesapeake and having talked to Chesapeake, the Haynesville Shale slopes towards the Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
At an angle, at a whatever degree that is. But basically, the farther south you go in Louisiana, the deeper they got to drill.
Okay.
So at some point, it becomes not cost productive for them to drill.
Yeah.
Natchitoches Parish is about that line.
Yeah.
So they said northern Natchitoches Parish, they'll probably do some drilling, but south of there, not so much so, which kind of gets into the heritage area at that point. But anyway, that's another version. So, all right. Let's see here. We got P.D. Vincent coming up, Bass Cash Bash, when we return with more Hooking Up and Tracking Down on 1130, The Tiger.
Make sure you check out our Facebook page, It's Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show, for awesome info and great product giveaways. This segment presented by Cypress Knee Outdoors, United Rentals, Steve Nichols Specialty Tracker, moving earth and building roads to a better future.
United Rentals is one of our great sponsors, Jay just mentioned. They are actually they're the best thing that happened to the do-it-yourselfers.
Yes.
United Rentals offers on-site services, repairs for customer-owned equipment. Their own service mobile technician, Dino, will come to your location if you got a problem. There's a forklift and a man lift certification dealer. Call United Rentals at Shreveport at 318-635-6404. They say the job starts here. But I'm going to tell you what a lot of people don't think about United Rentals. With hunting season coming up, a lot of people like me, I've got a deer lease, I've got a duck lease. I don't own tractors. I don't own bush hogs.
Right.
And it's not cost efficient for me to go buy one for 1 day's worth of mowing.
Yeah.
United Rental is the place to go.
Yep.
For the people who are in between there.
Yep.
You know, I'm just not big enough to own my own equipment.
Exactly.
And I don't need it for 1 day a year.
Yeah, especially if you need like a pole saw.
Yeah.
Well, it ain't worth me to go buy a pole saw for trimming 4 or 5 limbs for one time a year.
Yeah.
So go rent one. And but anyway, all right, we got PD Vincent on the phone with us for one last time. PD, are you there?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, buddy?
Doing well. How about yourself? I was just listening to you talk about United Rentals. It's funny. I mean, I got a mini excavator I rented from them this week. I rented a mortar mixer from them this week, and I rented a plate packer from them this week. Man, I've been keeping them both up.
A plate? What'd you say? A plate packer?
Plate packer for packing dirt before you pour concrete.
Oh, okay.
You're building a house, aren't you?
I'm building a swimming pool, man. I come up with the bright idea to buy a swimming pool kit online. If you ever decide you want to do that,
don't.
You watch that YouTube video and think you can do it yourself, give me a call over here, and I'll talk you out of it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you've got a swimming pool and the acre it's sitting on for sale right now.
Exactly.
As long as they got people building pools, I'll call people to build mine, PD. But I admire you, dude. I do admire you for trying and attempting to pull that off.
Well, we actually poured concrete. We poured concrete day before yesterday, so we got the project finished up this week. So I'm real excited about it. We're gonna get to enjoy these last couple of hot summer months.
You probably got that idea to build your own watching that show, Insane Pools. It comes on, I think, the Discovery Channel. They have all these crazy pools they build. Is that where you got the idea to do your own?
Oh, no. Well, we were at work talking about it and talking about, how much it costs to buy a pool. And, we come up with the idea that you buy one of these kits online, the in-ground liner pool kits. And, I watched the YouTube video and got that Superman S come out on my chest and decided, man, I can do this.
Well, if you can't blow it up, I ain't buying it.
Right, I hear you.
All right, PD, let's talk a little bash real quick. Of course, we got one more lake we're trying to wrap up for 2018, May 1st through Labor Day, Toledo Bend, $400,000. I know you've had some more fish come in. You've had some more tag fish come in. What's the status? Give us an update.
Right now we stand at 72 officially fish have been reported on Toledo Bend. Now that's tag bass and bass caught over 10 pounds since May 1st. There have been 56 tags out of the 202 reported. Now we don't know if some of these guys they don't want to be Facebook famous and have us talk about them on Facebook as being that guy that caught a tag fish and wasn't registered. So we know that some guys don't call in and report them. But officially reported, we've had 56 tags reported, and we've had 16 bass over 10 pounds caught all since May 1st.
You mean to tell me there's people out there that do not like to be laughed at?
Yeah.
But you know what? I send you a awesome. Don't be that guy prize pack. sponsored by Rod Armors. You get the Rod Armors rod protectors. You get a cool-looking Bass Cash Bash T-shirt that says "Don't be that guy" on it. I mean, what more would you want?
There you go. There you go.
I've been laughed at for nothing to get a prize.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly. Well, now, Pete,
Exactly.
PD, in September, I would like for you to come on. I'll give you plenty of time to compile your statistics together for each of the lakes. And I'd like for you to come on and let's talk about the percentage of people that caught tag fish that were registered. Let's put some numbers out there for people to understand that the opportunity that they're really missing by not signing up for this program. And so we'll do that first or second. We'll probably say the second or third week of September after this event's over on Toledo being Labor Day. It gives you plenty of time. I'll be in touch with you, and we'll see if we can't put some numbers together.
Oh, man, that would be awesome. And I can tell you, the listeners out there that are listening today, you want to tune into that show. The sheer dollar amount of what's been left on the table since we started this in 2015 is plumb staggering.
Yeah.
It is, Pete.
Yep.
But I'm going to tell you, and I said it over and over again. I've already said it today. I'll say it again. The percentage of fish that y'all catch and tag that are caught by the general public is as good as I've ever seen in a program, better than I've ever seen in a program like this, freshwater.
I agree.
Yes, sir. And it's simply because we want these fish to be caught. We need these fish to be caught, so we don't go and go to a secret hole somewhere, you know, in the back of a cove where nobody ever, a spot that nobody knows about. Man, we go to the community holes. That's where we tag these fish, and that's why these fish get recaught, because they're tagged in areas where we know people are fishing. If nobody's catching these fish, nobody's having fun, and this is not going to be a fun deal that's going to continue on year after year.
Well, your sponsors
so
are
as
not
long
getting
as
their money's worth.
Exactly. Nobody's having fun.
Yeah.
If nobody's catching fish. And now, of course, I have no control over the 10-pound category. I wish I did. If I did, I wouldn't be talking to you guys about the Bass Cash Bash. We'd be talking about me on the Elite Series Tour right now.
Exactly.
But if you know, but as far as the tags are concerned, I have control over that. I can say, hey man, look, let's put all these fish where people are fishing. Let's not go out in the middle of Toledo Bend in 60 foot of water and troll till we catch 200 fish and turn them loose out there where nobody's at.
Right.
You know, we want these fish to be caught and released in areas where anglers are fishing.
PD, let's fast forward to 2019. What are the changes you're looking to make for 2019 if you want to announce those at this time?
Biggest change we're making, the biggest one is Toledo Bend is moving as far as dates are concerned. You know, normally we run May 1st through Labor Day on Toledo Bend. Next year we're going to try March 1st through July 4th. So I'm sure a lot more 10-pound bass are going to be caught in that March and April time frame. You know, so a lot more winners there on the 10-pound side. And then also on Lake Fork, this year we did $90,000 for our first year on Lake Fork. Next year we're going to do $150,000 worth of tags. We're doing 100 tags at $1,000 a piece plus $500 each on the bonus money. So almost doubling the tags on Lake Fork, and then the dates on Toledo Bend changing.
All right.
Let me ask you something. Now, we're promoting how many fish y'all tag and how many of the high percentage being caught. Do you perceive doing this earlier in the year when fish are spawning, do you perceive that to up the amount of fish that are caught? Because they could be caught in shallow water, tagged in shallow water, and a week later they may be through with their deal. How do you think that's going to affect your numbers? I know there's going to be more people down there fishing that time of year than there is in June when it gets hot.
Well, here's the thing. On Lake Fork this year, Lake Fork ran March 1st through June 30th, which would be essentially the same date as Toledo Bend for next year. And on Lake Fork, and granted it is a little bit smaller lake, but we did the same thing there. We tagged these fish in the community holes where people are fishing. And we actually had 51% of the fish were caught on Lake Fork.
Wow. You can't beat that. I don't care where you go. I mean, that's,
that's
whatever. You can't beat that.
We turned loose 60 fish on Lake Fork this year with tags on them, and 31 of those fish were caught.
Now, next year, will you run any lakes through Labor Day, or will July 4th be the last date for next year's circuit?
For next year, July 4th is going to be it.
Okay.
Okay. One of the complaints we've had, and we try to listen to our anglers. We try to listen to the people who enjoy signing up for this. And one of the complaints that we've heard is, Toledo Bend, man, it's so hot. I don't fish after June. I don't go out there.
That's true.
And so we figured we'd move it up and have it March, April, May, June, and then we're going to do that first weekend in July, because July 4th we're going to do $1,776 for every tag caught.
PD, we can't say thank you enough, man. We have appreciated and have enjoyed having you on our program with all these updates and reports, and we're looking forward to 2019. I think it's going to be a record-setting year for Bass Cash Bash next year. As good as it's been, I think it's just going to get better as you continue to improve each one of these lakes and your giveaway packages. I mean, again, hats off to you, my friend. You're doing a great job with it.
Hey, well, thank you so much, guys, and you don't know how much it means to me to hear that, from guys who have been around the fishing industry all these years. I'm a guy who works at Phillips 66. You know what I mean? I make gasoline for a living and just came up with this idea, and it means a lot to hear you say that. And I really have enjoyed coming on and giving the opportunity to tell folks about Bass Cash Bash. So thank you all very much.
Well, thank you for being part of the show, PD. Thank you so much.
I'm just upset I didn't think of it first, PD. All right, man. PD, thank you, man. Have a great summer, buddy, and we'll be in touch with you in September to kind of wrap up this 2018 season completely.
Thank you, Steve. Y'all have a great show, guys.
All right. That's going to wrap up hour one. Coming up, FLW Pro Andrew Upshaw. He gives us a preview of this week's FLW Cup in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Right after this with more hooking up and tracking down here on 1130 The Tiger.
He said amen and God as my witness.
Welcome to Hour 2 of the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show. This segment presented by Stingray Line Cutter, Despino and Jim's Big South Tire, and the Red River Waterway Commission, dedicated to recreational and commercial expansion along the Red River system.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of Hooking Up and Tracking Down. Ranger Boat Pro staffer Steve Graff, along with Boss Tournament Trail Director and my right-hand man today, Mike Eccles. Gary McCoy is on vacation as he's up there in Arkansas. He's not too far away from where our next guest is going to be as soon as we get him on the line. Andrew Upshaw is going to be joining us here in just a minute. Andrew's on Lake Ouachita, Mike, but Gary's on Lake Catherine, which is east of Hot Springs. And Other one's west of Hot Springs.
Tell us where Wayne Neeson is.
Wayne Neeson. He was in Oklahoma.
No, Candyman Pet Lodge.
Oh,
That's
Candyman
what you're
Pet
supposed
Lodge.
to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Candyman Pet Lodge, I can tell you where that's at. That's right off Greenwood Road out here in Greenwood, Louisiana. First-class kennel owner Wayne Neeson offers both inside and outside facilities. One-on-one dog training is available. Grooming, bathing, a special place for man's best friend. Again, located just west of Greenwood, Louisiana. Convenient location. Call 903-766-DOGS. That's 903-766-DOGS if you're looking for a place to put man's best friend.
You know, there's not a better, a more important time to know if you're going on vacation that your dog is going to be in a first-class place, air-conditioned, controlled climate than right now with the heat, because my dog's out there with a fan. Of course, the fan doesn't work. He's been trying to plug it in and turn it on, but he doesn't get up out of that shade, that concrete.
Hey, well, I
told him when he started paying the bill, I turned that fan on.
You're hard, man. You're a hard man to live with, Mike. Well, I tell you what, I guarantee you, I bet this guy on the phone with us, he may be looking for a fan as well. Andrew, are you with us, buddy?
I am.
Hey, FLW Pro Andrew Upshaw. Andrew is going to give us a little quick preview here. Andrew, first of all, I'm going to toot your horn a little bit here. If you'll hang with me just a second. Career earnings, $257,000. He has 3 tournament wins. Career top 10 finishes, 20. Total events fished, 108. This is your second Cup appearance, Andrew?
It is.
Second Cup appearance and as FLW Touring Pro. And Andrew's been fishing since around 2012 on FLW Tour. I've competed against Andrew on the BFLs, Everstart, whatever it's called, Costas now. And just a tremendous angler and a great representative of the sport of bass fishing, and a former collegiate national champion as well when he attended Stephen F. Austin State University. Andrew, again, you've got a great bio. You've got plenty of history. How much history, though, do you have on Lake Ouachita, and can you think you can pull off a win up there at the FLW Cup?
Well, I've been there a few times. I fished a couple different tournaments there, a BFL regional back in 2009, I think, or 8, or one of those years.
Yep.
And then I fished a tournament there last year. I went and fished an event for a local company in Hot Springs called Gears. And it was kind of a deal from Coast Sunglasses. They asked me and another pro to come in, and we actually fished the tournament. So it was more of a preparation tournament just in case we did make the Cup this year, and both of us were actually able to make it. So it was a very beneficial trip in that regard. But, the thing is every tournament's different. I don't care if you've been to a place 100 times or one time. It all depends on if it's your time to win. And in this situation, I put in the time on Ouachita. I went last week for a few days and spent a lot of time idling, a lot of time fishing, and I'm as ready as I can be. I can promise you that. So if it is my time to win, I'll be as gracious as ever. If it's not, then I'll keep going to the next one.
Andrew, Mike Eccles here, and thank you for taking the time to be with us. First off, what's it going to take? What's it going to take to after 2 days to qualify for the third day?
After 2 days, I'm going to tell you right now, the weight, unless something changes, the weights are going to be down considerably in comparison to the last time that FLW visited Ouachita. The big fish just don't seem to be biting. Last year there was a ton more hydrilla and matted hydrilla, and this year the grass has died down about half. So I'm going to say the weight, really and truly, 10 pounds a day, maybe.
Wow. That is
make
down.
The third day. Yeah, it's going to be pretty bad. I'm just telling you straight up. It could hit, it might hit 22, but I'm just going to be really shocked. You put the 56 best guys in the country on a body of water, they're going to figure out how to catch them. But I have a feeling Ouachita's going to throw some curveballs, and it's all going to be about who can catch a limit every day and add a kicker every day with that limit.
Well, now, Andrew, I've watched several of the previous, I think this is the 4th time FLW has brought the Cup to Hot Springs at Lake Ouachita. And I've watched each one of those previous events on YouTube, and the shallow water bite seemed like was kind of the ticket. Top water seemed to play a big role, even on up in the day. Guys were catching a lot of fish on top water. Are you finding that to be the case at this go round as well?
Top water is definitely going to be a factor. It always is at a Ouachita. The thing is, though, is so many of these guys have been there so many different times, so they know the best areas to throw top water. But the thing is everybody knows all the best areas already to do it. So there's going to be a lot more crowding, and the top water fish are going to start disappearing, midway through the second day. I don't think it's going to be something that you can sustain throughout the event. If you can land 5 keepers a day, you've got a real legit chance of winning. Based off what I saw, the condition of the grass, the condition of the fish, and everything that goes along with it, I think it's going to be one doing a little bit of everything, between topwater, fishing brush piles, fishing some grass. Some of my best bites that I had all week were in the grass. So, and that's what I grew up doing. So obviously I'm going to gravitate that direction. And because when you get to an event like the Forster Cup, Bassmasters Classic, whatever it may be, the last thing you want to do is go out there and do what everybody else is doing and do something outside your comfort zone. Best thing you can do is go do what you're comfortable with and what you feel like you're the best at. And, that's when it comes to fishing, I feel like I can compete with anybody when it comes to a grass tournament. So that's what I'm going to go do more than likely.
Well, Andrew, to make it to this event says a lot for you and the other anglers. However, to do that, something went right this year. You had to have a good year. Is this just your year, and I always like to try to ask anglers this: Did they pick the lakes in the order that you like, or is it something like lakes that the lake we went to, or I have a lot of history on, or is it one of those deals where I fished all the qualifying tournaments and I never lost a fish? What allowed Andrew to make it to the Cup this year?
It's funny. It's actually a little bit of everything. This year was a pretty crazy year. I started the event with 2 Florida tournaments, and typically my resume in Florida hasn't been the best. And I ended up doing decent, middle of the road finishes. And both of those could have been huge tournaments. I lost a few too many fish there and kind of put myself behind the 8-ball a little bit. And got back on track midway through the season with a couple of checks. And then the wheels kind of fell off at Kentucky Lake. And I pretty much threw myself out of contention having a really big event. And sure enough, at the last event of the season is what was really the deciding factor in making breaking my season. The first day I ended up sitting in 117th place, and I needed a finish inside the top 50 to even have a chance to make it to the Forster Cup. And the second day I started out pretty much doing the same thing I was doing before. I'd caught a little over 16 pounds the first day, and I was in 117th, which just goes to show you how good St. Clair was fishing. And that second day, I pull out there, and I'm throwing a big topwater, I'm throwing a rattle trap stutter step, and I had 4 real big fish come up and miss it. And all 3.5 to 4 pounders. And I got so frustrated that I threw my rod down after that 4th one and told my co-angler, said, "Hey, we're just going to go practice, and I'm not doing this the rest of the day." And he's like, "What are you talking about? You just missed 4 big ones." I said, "I'm not doing this." I said, "If I'm going to make the Cup, I'm going to go out there and do it my way." And so I went offshore and went out in some really deep water and used my Garmin electronics, used my Panoptic to scan around and find fish that were isolated, and used a drop shot with a Jean LaRue rally grub, and I caught 19 pounds. The last 30 minutes, I decided to run back to that place where I'd lost those big ones. I caught a 5.5 and a 4 in the last 30 minutes. Actually, I caught the 5.5 on my very last cast, and I ended up weighing 21.5 pounds, and I made it to the Forster Cup and was by 1 place.
Wow! Holy cow! Well, Andrew, you brought up you just also brought something up that I want to get to real quick before we have to let you go. the co-angler situation for next year is they've basically gone the same way as BASS. They'll now be marshals. They won't be fishing. What's your opinion on that, and are you glad to see that happen?
It's great for FLW. I mean, it's going to be good for the pros. The thing is, I didn't have a problem with co-anglers because at the end of the day, we fish with co-anglers our whole lives, so it's not really having someone in the back of the boat makes the day go by a little easier, in my opinion. The thing that kind of stings is I took my wife and my dad to a few tournaments to practice with me because that was inside the rules. And so that gets kind of eliminated. So that's kind of a bummer because we kind of use it as a vacation when we get to go to an event like St. Clair or Okeechobee. I could take my dad down there. So in that regard, it kind of stinks. And I have some really great friends that are co-anglers, and it's going to be a little harder not to see them every day because I feel like they kind of lighten the mood a little bit. The pros get so antsy before the tournaments that, you can't even have a conversation with them. And I just kind of like being around people that are really light and, just kind of laid back a little bit, and pros just aren't really like that.
Well, I really hate it because I actually fished FLW Tours as a co-angler in 2003 or 4, and I'm telling you right now, the absolute most fun I ever had fishing on any level was fishing as a co-angler FLW Tour. And it just, to me, it was an opportunity to get in a boat with great anglers like a Jay Yellis or a Dion Hibden or Clark Winlet. You just don't get to do that every day, and to have those opportunities as a co-angler, those are days that are irreplaceable, and I just hate to see FLW eliminated it. I thought they were going to hang on to it at least a little bit longer, but they didn't waste any time. They once it got brought up about a year or so ago, they took action pretty quick, and I hate it. I really do. I think it's great for the sport, but I heard that one of the reasons they quit was so many co-anglers used to step up to the pro side after a year or two of doing that, and guys weren't doing that anymore. I guess it lost the effect that they were wanting it to have to develop more pro anglers. That's what I'm hearing anyway. So
it is, and that's kind of the drawback to it. I mean, a lot of guys weren't stepping up. Actually, you're seeing more guys step up from the coastal level now,
right,
to go to the pro side.
Right, that's true.
And I'll applaud FLW. The way they set up their marshal program this year is really exciting. You have a chance at a Ranger boat, and at the end of the year, and the way they do the shared weight deal because you can get paid every tournament on the marshal side now, so it's really about whoever you draw. Which it's kind of luck of the draw in that case, but you still have a chance at some money. And I'm telling you right now, if I fished on the co-angler side, my number one thing would be sitting back there with a notepad trying to learn what they're doing anyway.
Right.
And, in the case of FLW, there's some extremely gifted anglers out there, and you can definitely learn from them. And I don't care if you're fishing in the back of the boat or marshaling in the back of the boat, you're going to learn something. And I never would question somebody wanting to go learn, because I can tell you right now, you never know enough. And if you ever get a point where you feel like you know everything, you just need to quit and go do something else.
Right. Real quick,
because I learn something every single day.
I know you're looking forward to 2019, and you've got to be just drooling when you saw the schedule come out, and Sam Rayburn is the first event of the year in January. I bet you just were ecstatic.
Well, I like throwing a rattle trap, so that fits me, and all the rest of them are pretty much sight fishing tournaments, so I can't really complain whatsoever.
Good deal. Andrew, we're pulling for you, buddy. Hang in there. Have a great week this week. And so
you win, we'll have you back on next week.
Yeah, if you win, we'll have you back on.
Yeah, that sounds great, guys. Thank you for having me.
All right, Andrew Upshaw, FLW Pro, and fishing the FLW Cup this week in Hot Springs on Lake Ouachita. When we come back, Mike's going to be give us a little bit of history on a local legend here, a guy that we're going to miss dearly, Willard Moore. And when we return with more Hooking Up and Tracking Down here on 1130, The Tiger. You're listening to Hooking Up and Tracking Down show. I'm Ranger Buck Pro Staffer Steve Graff, along with my right-hand man today, Mike Eccles, Boss Tournament Trail Director. One thing is clear. This show would not be possible without our producer, board op, and button-pushing extraordinaire, Jay Watley. Thank you, Jay, for all that you do to make this program great. This segment is presented by Daiwa Rods and Reels, Rayburn Country Resort, Seagar Fishing Line, and Bayou Outdoor Supercenter. Bass or ski boats, campers or motorhomes, Bayou Outdoor Supercenter has it all. Real quick, also, Toledo Fiberglass, been in business for over 36 years. Toledo Fiberglass is a repair and restoration shop, home of the Gorilla Hull with a lifetime warranty. As long as you own that boat, it's covered. If you sell the boat, it's still covered. If you sell it 3 times, it's still covered. The life of the boat, not how many times you get rid of it. Humminbird and Minn Kota dealer, located just west of Toledo town on Highway 6. To learn more, go to ToledoFiberglass.com. All right, Mike. Real quick, Mike, you know, Willard Moore, who, again, is a former coach, was great with Fishers of Men, was just one of those people that in our community in this area, everybody knew who he was that was a part of the fishing community, and we lost a great one last week.
We did, and I met Willard back in about 1974, 75. My brother-in-law was running some of the bait company. He ran Smithwick Lures, and then he ran Championship Tackle, and then he went over for years to Mr. Twister, and that was my brother-in-law. And then that's how I met Willard, and from that day, he was just somebody you called a dear friend.
Yeah.
Willard, battled cancer, and in June when I was headed to Washita River over the Monroe to do the Ronald McDonald tournament. I went into Willard's house. I knew he was in bad shape, and I went and visited with his wife Jamie and a couple of the kids, and went back in the room and sat down with Willard because I had heard Willard's story a long time ago, but I didn't remember it. And we sat there for a long time, and this is what Willard told me about his life. Willard grew up on Reelfoot Lake in Tennessee. His daddy was a fishing guide there for over 30 years, and Willard started guiding as a kid. Now, I don't know how young he was, but he started guiding, and he actually guided up to the day that he left for the Navy. Before he left, he had a guide trip that morning, and they caught 25 brim, and that was the limit they had then. He dressed the fish for the customers, and he left Reelfoot Lake, headed to the Navy, and never went back. That was 3 days after he graduated high school in 1956. Willard started playing basketball while he was in the Navy, and he told me that while he was in the Navy, he did a lot of growing up. He met a coach by the name of Coach Siegler then, who was from Shreveport and who had coached at West Point. And his assistant had been now I may have this wrong, a war college coach at Quant, Rhode Island. Does that ring a bell?
No.
Okay. Okay, but Willard told me that he was having a really good year, playing ball then. And Coach Siegler's assistant gave Willard a dime and a card and said, "I want you to call this number." They were having a game at halftime, and Willard did. He wound up, and it was Coach Siegler who got all of Willard's information and invited him to play at Centenary College. Willard told him that when he got out of the Navy in June, he said, "I'm getting out of the Navy in June. I want you to mail me some stuff, and I'll look at it from Centenary." He said, "But I'm probably going to Memphis State, where he had better benefits and he had a scholarship." He was planning on being a Church of Christ pastor. Centenary College started sending Willard mail. And when Centenary played Memphis State, they invited Willard's mother, and they put her right beside the Centenary coach. And her mother and the coach became good friends.
Wow.
When Willard got out of the Navy in June of 1958, Coach Siegler sent him to Vidalia to work for the summer at Jet Oil Company. And then him and 5 other people were invited to Centenary College for tryouts. They put him up at the Washington Erie Hotel, which was an old historic hotel in downtown Shreveport. And they wound up taking him out one night, all of them out, to the Bossier Strip. Now Willard told me, he said,
Does it get in, or is this it's still PG rated, right?
no, well, yeah, but he told me, and this was back in the heyday of the Bossier Strip.
Yeah.
But he told me he wasn't all that impressed because he had actually seen Blaze Starr strip in Boston, and then Blaze back in the 60s, 50s, 60s,
She was it.
She was as popular as Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
But that just didn't appeal. That didn't do much for Willard. The next night they had a big banquet with all the fraternity pitches, and the merchants came over to tell them what all they would do if they signed at Centenary. But Willard said nope, he wasn't going to come to Centenary. They had tryouts and a scrimmage against the Centenary seniors the next day, and in Willard's words, they beat the crap out of those Centenary seniors.
No.
These boys there for a tryout.
Wow.
He still said he was going to Memphis State, where he'd stay with his mom and go to the Church of Christ up there. Willard was supposed to fly out at 10 o'clock on the next morning, the last morning. Assistant coach Doug Moody, who coached the freshman team, came to Willard's room that night before he was about to leave and said somehow or another they had nicknamed Willard Soup, S-O-U-P. And he told him, he said, Soup, do you want to go fishing in the morning? Willard said, yeah. And why hadn't we been fishing already? You want to do something for me, not the Bossier Strip.
You want to recruit me? This how you do it.
And then Willard reminded the coach that he had a flight out at 10 o'clock. The coach told him, he says, no problem, we'll be back in plenty of time. And the next morning, the coach picked Willard up, and they went to Wallace Lake, and they rented a boat. The coach gave Soup a cream worm and a yellow H&H. They caught 12 bass and a grinnell, Willard told me. Moody said, Soup, if you'll come play for Centenary, I believe you have a career here. And Willard asked him, he said, will you coach me and will you get me a job? And he said, yeah, I'm the freshman coach and I'll get you a job for the rest of the summer. Willard said, I'll play for you, coach. You tell Centenary I'm in.
Wow.
And he came to Shreveport and to Centenary College because of that fishing trip.
And what year was that, Mike? Was that?
That was in
56?
58.
58.
Yeah. He said the rest of everything they offered to him didn't mean anything. He said it was the fishing trip and the 12 bass on Wallace Lake that changed his decision and changed his life.
Wow.
He graduated from Centenary and he went to work as a coach at Jesuit High School, which is now Loyola. Then he moved to Fair Park. Then he went to Northwood, and he stayed in there until he left the school system. For the next few years, Willard started his own business, and he married his first wife, Betsy, in 1963. And he was the owner, and he was fishing, the Arklatex Bass Club with some pretty good success. Then he met a man named Melvin Smith through a training seminar. Melvin had formed Tidecraft Marine, and along with Mr. Twister, Mercury Motors, and Ram Trolling Motors, they sponsored Willard in the BASS circuit. Willard fished the BASS circuit for 2 years, 1974 and 75, with, in his words, just mediocre success. Actually, Willard said the first year they scorched him. He had bad boats, bad batteries, heavy tackle, heavy line, and he said he got drummed in 1974. But in 75, he started rooming with a hand named Roger Moore. Now, Roger Moore left BASS and became the star of the James Bond movies.
Yeah.
No, not the same, not the same Roger Moore.
Yeah.
But he started rooming with Roger Moore, and he told me Roger was a character. But he said he was a tremendous fisherman with light line, and he taught Willard different techniques. And in 75, he had a lot better year. Then in 1976, Willard Moore made the Bassmasters Classic and qualified in 17th place.
Wow.
That's also how he finished the Classic, in 17th place. 1975 and 76, Willard and Betsy produced one of the first local fishing shows titled Outdoors with the Moors, and I vividly remember watching that show as a kid. Willard went on to be a businessman, owning Moore's Marine on Cross Lake, which is now directly across the water from the American Legion.
Right.
Brazil's
I
Marine.
didn't realize that was his.
That was his place. Let's see. I looked up. And he's continued fishing tournaments and organizing tournaments. Like you said, he did the Fishers of the Men.
Yeah, great
Fishers
job.
of Men. Probably the majority of people listening at this time in the past have fished in an event directed by Willard Moore. In 1997, Betsy passed away, and shortly after that, Willard met a young lady from his hometown named Jamie. They married, and Willard had never had any kids. Him and Jamie started a family. They were blessed with 3 kids. In 2012, Willard learned that he had cancer, and during the treatments and the periods of remission, Willard Moore maintained his attitude, his love for people, his passion for fishing, and his faith in Christ, unlike anybody I've ever seen. Other than his faith in God and family, fishing was one of the biggest things that ever happened in Willard Moore's life. He loved to preach, and he loved to say the blessing before a tournament and during a pre-tournament meeting. He wanted us to keep things in perspective and to remember that all around us is in his God, and we are here because of him and for him. And the fishing, he told me this, the fishing is just a small part of what we should enjoy, and not let anything else cloud our attitude. He said we lie awake at night worrying about the next day's tournament, how we will finish, and in the realm of thing, that's not real important. It's a passion for the sport, just like rodeoing and golf. Man is made to compete, and competition sometimes brings out the adrenaline, and it puts priorities on things that are not really that important. One of the most important parts of tournament fishing is the integrity for the sport, Willard said. If we do not maintain the integrity for bass fishing, we've lost one of the greatest gifts we'll ever have. One of the last things Willard said to me that day was, "I've had a good life, Mike." And I told him that I felt more importantly than that he had impacted a lot of lives. And he said, "Mike, I just wanted to get it right." Willard passed away on July 16, 2018, just 5 days before his 80th birthday. The fishing world, our community, and our circle of friends has lost a mentor and a legend. But nobody can deny the fact. Willard, buddy, you got it right.
Yep, he did. I thoroughly enjoyed, especially when I fished Fishers of Men. I fished a lot of that circuit because of Willard Moore, the guy that he was directing this circuit, and I thought, well, nobody's going to do it better than Willard Moore.
Yeah.
He knew how to run a circuit, but his little devotionals, which was the premise of Fishers of Men circuit, is you have a meeting the night before, and it's basically you eat, and they have a little devotional, and they talk about the tournament, and they'll go over the rules, and that's it, and they're dismissed. And his devotionals were always really good, or he had a really good speaker come in to give the devotional, and he just did a great job. He was a first-class individual that I had nothing but admiration for, and when he quit doing Fishers of Men, that circuit went way down. It was not the same. A lot of guys, including myself, quit fishing it, maybe for the wrong reasons, but hey, there's something to be said for the right guy running a circuit with tournament director, and I've always tooted your own horn. You do a great job, Mike, with the circuits that you run. There's a reason why people fish it, and there's a reason why the numbers are up or as high as they are in the stuff you run. Don McCutcheon was the same way. People fished that because Don McCutcheon was running it. Willard Morris in that same category, and he's a guy that will be sadly missed in this part. And
great man, great human being, great mentor.
Exactly. And so with that, we're going to move on, and we've got Outdoor Destinations coming up with more hooking up and tracking down here on 1130 The Tiger.
Talking to Mom on the phone one night.
Miss a segment of today's show, you can check us out Saturday mornings at 6 a.m. here on 1130 The Tiger for more hooking up and tracking down. This segment presented by Bob Seeley's Big Bash Splash Series, Bash Cash Bash, and Natchitoches Ford. Your truck headquarters for the Arklatex and home of Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, the F-150.
Paul's Farm and Garden, your gardening supply headquarters, fertilizer, pesticides, plant food, anything you'll need to make your garden grow. Don't forget Paul's Farm and Garden. They'll have everything you need for food plots as they carry several different types of products as you get ready for deer season. A proud dealer of Purina products, that's Paul's Farm and Garden on North Market Street in Shreveport. And in the coming weeks, probably in August, Mike, we're going to probably have Paul on to talk about, because it's that time, deer plots, food plots. Now's the time you need to start thinking about that and probably getting the ground tilled up, because by August, I would think most of these need to have planted.
You need to get the ground broke up. You need to find out if you got how much lime or something you've got to
soil
put on
testing.
there. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Don't wait till you plant to do that.
No, you waited too late. So, all right, real quick, we've got an interview here. This is part of our series of outdoor destinations. We got Tom Leoe on. Tom, are you there?
Yeah, I am. How y'all doing today?
We are doing great, Tom. We want to say thank you for taking the time to be with us today, and we're going to talk a little fishing in Arkansas, and I know you're one of those guys that likes to make that trip up there. And are we talking White River? Are we talking Arkansas River? What are we talking here?
Well, I mainly go up to the Little Red River out of Heber Springs. And I grew up trout fishing, and moved to Louisiana and haven't been able to go very, very often. I found that place, and it has been really good.
Hey, Tom, this is Mike here. Thank you for being here. I'm going to need you to speak up just a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
The volume's a little low. So when did you start? How did you get started actually trout fishing in Arkansas?
Well, here recently, I bought a travel trailer, and we started, I started looking around to go trout fishing in different places that weren't too far away from Shreveport. And Heber Springs is about 4.5 hours away, and I found a nice place to go. It's called Lindsay's Resort. They have boats you can rent, and they really take care of you up there. Real nice, really beautiful place too.
Okay. If you're going to Arkansas trout fishing, you and I talked about it. There's several ways to approach it. You know some place where you can go actually stand on the bank. You don't have to wait or have a boat. But if you wanted to go to Arkansas and stand on the bank, have your kids. Where would you do that? What type of trout do you expect to catch, and what type of tackle do you use on the bank fishing?
A lot of people go to JFK Park. I've been there myself. When the water's low, it's really good. As far as you can catch a lot of rainbow trout right off the bank. You can wade fish in. It's not really deep. You can find a nice hole, and a lot of times I use butter worms. I buy them online, but most people will just use just regular whole kernel corn and a marshmallow.
Okay, is that spinning rod or fly rod?
Yeah.
I use a spinning rod. It's a real ultralight 4-pound test.
Because Tom, when people think about trout fishing, or whether it's rainbows or red, not reds, but rainbows or brown trout, they automatically think fly fishing.
We don't catch a lot of them red trout.
No, the red trout won't be up that far, but if they were, you'd have a handful. But anyway, guys, that it takes such a skill to become a fly fisherman. But you're saying you can do this with just regular spinning gear.
Yeah, you can, and it's a lot of fun. You can use. The thing is, trout are actually predatory fish, and when they get larger, they'll hit on crankbaits and jigs and different things like that also.
Now, there's certain rivers up there. I know some of them you have to pay attention to the water release, because certain ones may be a little low, and then all of a sudden they'll release a bunch of water for a while. Do you have to pay attention? Is there a place that you can look that up, generating schedules?
Yeah, they have it. I think it's the Greers Ferry Dam is for the Red River schedule, and the Army Corps of Engineers, they take care of all that, but they sound a siren when it goes off when you're remotely close to the dam. And if you're further down, the water just starts easing up, and you can't help but notice it.
Okay, Tom, if you're going to, let's get off the bank. Let's go to a stream or a river someplace where you're actually going to do the wading and the fly fishing. Where's the closest place somebody can go do that?
You can do that just a little bit further downstream. They've got these different shoals as long as the water is still kind of low, though. When the water gets high, you can't really wade into many places.
So what's your favorite place to go? And I know you said you take your kids. What's your favorite place to go and trout fish?
It's really a toss-up between the Little Red River and up in Cherokee, North Carolina. I recently went there in June, and they've got a lot of small streams that are just, it's beautiful. It's running water, and, you know, it's kind of fast, but they're smaller streams, and you can fish from the banks, and you can wade across them and find different places. And that's on the Cherokee Indian reservation.
Okay, but back in Arkansas, if you're going to go up to one of those lakes or streams up there or rivers, and you're leaving from Shreveport, what do you need? I mean, is it just a 1 or 2 day Arkansas fishing license? Any type of permits, any place?
They sell a 3-day fishing license, and you'll have to get a trout stamp also.
Trout stamp. Ooh.
Yeah. Now, what's the cost that you're going to incur on something like this? But between the stamp and the fishing license, what's it going to take to basically make a trip up there and to be outfitted for this type of fishing?
The license fee is not really all that much. I think it's like under $50 for out of state.
Is that for a whole year, or is that so many days?
That's for like a 3-day with your trout stamp.
Oh, okay.
Now, as far as, you know, what you need as far as a pole, you know, you can go use just a Zebco little light tackle fishing rod.
202 Zebco, yeah.
Yeah, you can. You know, I would use 4-pound test monofilament usually. And I usually use a Carolina rig with an 18-inch leader and a size 6 to 8 hook. And that allows the bait to just kind of flow in the stream.
So what are you weighting it down with? You weighting it with anything?
Yeah, it's usually a 1/4 ounce bullet weight.
Okay.
And you're using the Carolina rig on the little worms or something that you said you bought online, and corn.
Butterworm.
Butterworm.
That
they like the butterworms. They don't get to see them very often.
So you're not necessarily trying to match the hatch, are you?
Well, that's more for fly fishing, and I do a little bit of fly fishing. I'm trying to get back into it some, just because it's another aspect of it. But when I take my kids, it's more about just trying to get them some fish.
You're right, catch fish. That's all. That's what it's all about.
Okay, when you go to one of these places, Tom, what can you expect to catch? Average. I mean, is it like if you go up there and catch 3 or 4 trout in a day, you've had a good day, or there's places you can go up and hit it right and catch 20 or 30?
Oh, you can catch, you know, without a problem, 15 to 20 trout in a day.
And how many are you allowed to keep?
You can keep 5.
Is there a length restriction on it?
Yes, I believe you can keep 1 over 16 inches, and on the Little Red River anyway. And you can keep 5, you know, under that, but only 1 over 16.
There's not a minimum length on them.
No, there isn't. They stock the rainbows up there, but there's also a lot of brown trout. I caught one that was 22 inches here back in May. It's a beautiful fish. But the brown trout actually just produce in the river on their own.
Now, does each river system have its own regulations? Do you need a book like an Arkansas Game and Fish book to kind of know the regulations for each river system?
You do, because there's also some catch and release areas, and you on the different rivers in Arkansas that you need to know. Some you have to have barbless hooks only.
Oh, okay. That's good information to know there.
Yeah, you don't want to mess up.
Okay, this is the most important question, Tom. How in the world do you make one of those trout taste worth a flip?
Well, I fry them.
I mean, that's what you do. You just batter them up and fry them.
Fry them like a catfish. Yeah.
Really?
Like a what?
Like catfish.
Okay, so you don't have to. Do you skin them, or you don't scrape them, or you do skin them?
Yeah, you can go ahead and you can take them, and you got them. And you
so it's like a catfish.
Skin them down, and you got just the fish, but they're bony.
Yeah.
so you have to just kind of pick the meat off with a fork.
See, I didn't think you skinned a trout. I mean, I thought the scales were so fine that you actually left it on there.
Well, the skin will pull right off, just like on a catfish.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But now, are they? If you go up there and you catch a bunch of them one week, can you bring them home and put them in the freezer? Because there's some fish that do not taste good after they've been frozen.
well, the biggest thing is when you're cleaning them, if you get that blood vein that runs down their backbone out, they'll taste good.
Now, is it more of a darker meat fish, or is it a white fish?
It's a white meat.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And is there any difference in the taste of a rainbow or a brown trout or a brook trout?
Yeah.
No, there's no difference. But I will tell you that when you're cleaning them, the fish that are born in the river, their meat is a little bit more pink when you clean them. Which, that's what I've been told anyway.
Rather than stock ponds and they've been released.
Exactly.
Yeah. Huh. I would know. So I guess that's how you know if you caught a
Native.
a native fish. Well, I would know.
All the browns up there are native.
Well, Tom, it's been very interesting. We appreciate you taking time to come on and talk about your Arkansas fishing trip. And again,
we get wrapped up around here in bass and white perch and stuff like that.
We do.
We're talking saltwater stuff, but there is a number of people. David Parker love to go to Oklahoma trout fishing.
No doubt.
So there's a number of people up here that venture north, and it's a different scenery. It's in the mountains.
It's beautiful,
cold water. And
yeah.
It's just something that's a lot of fun to do and take your family. And we appreciate you sharing that with us, Tom.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Y'all have a good day.
Okay, man.
Tom Leoe, appreciate Tom for coming on today and giving us his expertise and talking about Arkansas fishing. So look forward to our next outdoor destinations. We got one more segment left. We got Daiwa Samurai Braid Best Times to Fish coming up with Mike when we return with more hooking up and tracking down here on 1130 The Tiger.
Well, the pizza and the teacher, no, they are not.
Thank you for tuning us in today. This segment presented by Nichols Department Stores, Spro Lures, Kamigatsu Hooks, and the CCA of Louisiana, protecting and preserving Louisiana waterways for years to come. One more time, here's Mike Eccles and Steve Graff.
All right, welcome back. Hooking up, tracking down. Our final segment. And by the way, if you've been wondering where Gary's at, Gary's up in Arkansas, up there fishing.
Trout fishing.
Trout fishing up there. And if he's not, he might be if he listens to this show.
He's on his way to buy a can of corn right now.
He might listen to us on Radio Pup today. So if you're listening, Gary, I hope you go buy your can of corn up there, dude, and put your little Carolina rig together and go catch you some trout. But anyway, Mike's got some, I think, the best times to fish.
Here's your Daiwa Samurai Braid best times to fish. This weekend, and this surprises me, is rated as excellent all 3 days as we head into a full moon. We will be under a heat advisory as temperatures are expected to remain in the upper 90s through the weekend with a 30% chance of rain on Sunday. Please use extreme caution if you're working outdoors or fishing. Relief is on the way because there's a cool trend starting on Monday. Best times to fish, midday, early afternoon. That may be the best time to catch them, but it ain't best time to be out there.
Exactly.
Friday, 11:48 a.m. to 2:48 p.m. Sunrise will be 6:26, sunset 8:16. Saturday, be out there casting 12:36 to 3:36 p.m. Sunrise will be 6:26, sunset 8:15. Sunday, 1:22 to 4:22 p.m. with sunrise at 6:27, sunset 8:15. This has been your Daiwa Samurai Braid best times to fish.
And real quick, I want to remind all of our listeners and our viewers watching this on your website, YouTube channel. We appreciate you tuning in, appreciate you listening each and every week. But we got some great video tips on jig and worm fishing on our website, HUTDshow.com. And also today will be posted a great recipe, grilled bacon wrapped pork tenderloin stuffed with apples. It is a great recipe that I've come across, and I highly encourage you to go to our website, HUTDshow.com, go to our recipe page, pull it up. It should be absolutely awesome. I'm going to try this probably within the next week or so. I will actually probably try this myself, and I'll let you know how it goes. But we got a lot of great tips. Again, a lot of things to see and do. Plus, we've got a great page of archives. If you want to see, if you missed today's show or missed a segment of today's show or one of the previous shows, you can go to the show page on our website and click on it, and all the shows are listed by date. You can pull them up, listen to them, and catch up on whatever you might have missed out on. But also today, Mike, we wrapped up with Johnny Geis. It's our final report from Lake Fork with Johnny Geis. But again, we'll have Johnny on in the fall when duck season kicks in. I know you and him do a lot of duck hunting together, and I'm looking forward to that.
Not enough together.
Now, have you heard any reports on the duck breeding this year, Mike? Anything that
I've heard they bred.
They did breed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They were successful in breeding.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you
I
go.
hope they had better luck than I did. No, I don't. But we need to get somebody back from Delta up north.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Delta waterfowl.
Yeah. Tell us we talked to him during the spring. I want to thank Andy Ferran for sending this to me. It was a post, maybe on the Bistineau website, but it says the Louisiana Department of Wildlife Fisheries will begin its previously announced drawdown. What do they call it? Dewatering?
Dewatering.
Okay, but the department has begun to deploy the temporary floating booms to aid salvinia control. The boom is intended to control the drift of floating aquatic plants as the water level decreases, keeping it from spreading as easily, and this will should allow them more effective applications of the spraying. So I said I did not understand what the booms were for,
right?
But I guess they're trying to keep it into some open areas. Put the booms out, maybe divert it into open areas where the airboats can get there and spray better. So I'm sure they had a reason for it. I just didn't know what it was.
Right.
Especially where they were putting them.
Exactly, which is about mid-lake.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
before it hits out in that
Peggy's
Island area, isn't it?
No, we're talking about Bossier Slough. That's down below Peggy's Island, close to Hog Island. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So it's on the south end.
And in the coming next couple of weeks, if you're looking for something to do, August 10th through the 12th, again, the FLW Cup will be taking place on the Lake Ouachita, and it's the 2018 FLW Cup. And so we'd like to encourage you to make the trip to Hot Springs. It's a great place to go, great family getaway, and they got day 1, 2, and 3, all at the convention center. Hot Springs Convention Center is where the expo is going to be held. The weigh-in will also be held at the Bank of the Ozark Arena. Days 1, 2, and 3 all will be at 5 o'clock weigh-in time at the Bank Ozark Arena there in Hot Springs. So again, check it out. You can go to FLWFishing.com, FLWFishing.com, to see the complete schedule of launch times, registration, housing, if you need housing information, there's different places you can stay. And you better book now because this is a well-attended event up in Hot Springs, Arkansas. As it's kind of become a home. This is their 4th time to have the Cup at Hot Springs, Arkansas, Mike.
Yeah.
So,
and has it always been on Ouachita? Because there's a bunch of lakes up there.
Yeah, I think it was been on Hamilton maybe once, but I think it's been on Ouachita. This will be the 4th event on Ouachita. Huh. So it's kind of become their second home besides Kentucky Lake up there, which is where FLW is founded in Benton, Kentucky. So anyway,
I want to take just a minute to thank Willersmore family, Jamie, Andrew, the girls. For just allowing us the privilege of talking about him.
Yes.
I think it was just a good message that Willard gave to me. All I did was
take notes.
That's it.
Yeah.
I recorded what he said and came home and typed it down. So the message was from Willard and from the heart.
Yeah.
And let Jamie and the family know that you'll always be in our hearts. And if we can ever help you, let us know.
Well, Willard falls in that same category, Mike, with David Parker. I mean,
absolutely.
Guys that were willing to give back. I remember David.
David was a little more rough cut than Willard.
Definitely a little rough around the edge. I'll agree with that.
But as far as great people, incredible fishermen, and great people, they both were.
Both were very willing to share knowledge.
Oh my goodness.
David, just sitting around with me. I wish I'd had this opportunity with Willard. To sit around with David Parker and just shoot the bull about how the jig was created, how he made jigs before they were called jigs, and how he used bicycle inner tubes to make the jigs with his dad's razor blade, and it's just the stories you get from these old timers like that. The information that doesn't get passed on unless you sit down and talk.
I'd love to see a picture of David Parker as a teenager.
Me too. I wonder if he was clean cut or was he as rough as you look like later. But anyway, we miss those guys, and these are guys that you just miss them when they're gone because they just had so much history. And our thoughts and prayers go to the Moore family as well.
Yeah. Also, the Delta Waterfowl, Northwest Louisiana chapter of Delta Waterfowl is having their banquet September the 6th. Last year it was at the Riverview Hall, but they're doing remodeling now.
Yeah.
So the event will be at the Bossier Convention Center. And we're in the process of selling tables right now. Table freight starts at $600. It goes up to sponsorship and VIP levels. But it's one of the cheaper banquets. Great food, great auctioneer Kevin McDonald from.
Do you know who the caterer is?
Now actually they're bidding on the catering job this year. Yeah,
okay.
And great prizes. And I say this: Delta is one of the conservation organizations where they'll be able to tell you a certain percentage of your money is going to stay here. We're going to do wood ducks boxes. We're going to do help with the levees where they can flood some of the maybe Loggy Bayou or something.
Right.
But they're going to be able to show the money staying here. And I'm proud to be on the board. I'm proud to be a part of the banquet. But if you want a table to the Delta banquet, please call me. I'm selling tables, and as a matter of fact, they're having a little contest this year, and I hope that I do pretty good in it. So,
all right.
On selling them. So give me a call if you want a table.
Thank you, Mike. Gary will be back with us next week. Here's this week's final word. With temperatures reaching 100 degrees the last week and the heat index at above 108, we just want to remind folks how dangerous the heat can be. Pay attention and be aware of your pets, your young children, and the elderly, and anyone that might be affected by the heat. For the elderly, the heat can be an extreme challenge and can result in deadly heat stroke. Make sure they have good AC or a good fan and plenty of water for hydration. As for man's best friend, so many people fail to take care of or neglect their dogs during the summer. So, make sure your pets are in cool environments with plenty of water. For Mike Eccles, Gary McCoy, Jay Wiley, yours truly, Steve Graff. Thanks for listening. Tune in next week here on 1130 The Tiger for more hooking up and tracking down.